This would be a fantastic kit to put together. This would be a lot of fun. Hey there, model enthusiasts, model makers. Welcome back to Hearns TV. It's me, Dan, and I'm going to take you through an unboxing video of a really cool model kit. This one is just beyond cool, actually, and yeah, I think you're really going to enjoy this video. Now, I would like for all of you out there to meet the F-4E Phantom 2. Now, the Phantom, this thing here, in its day, was the most feared fighter jet in the world, and first flew in 1958, entered service in 1961. A total of 5,195 of these were made, and it served with the US, South Korea, Japan, as well as Iran, actually, and for a very little, for a brief period of time, it actually served with the Royal Australian Air Force as well. There are still around 700 of them in service with air forces around the world. I think it's the Iranians, the South Koreans, and the Turkish that still use it as a frontline fighter. And a whole lot of history with this plane. Excellent history with this plane, actually. It's a true legend of military aircraft. So let's have a look at the model kit, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. So we have, as you can see, this box is massive. This kit is huge. 32 scale from Academy model kits. Academy make fantastic kits, by the way. Any Academy model kit that you get, you're definitely going to be really happy with it. And as you can see, the box art on this is absolutely spectacular. The Vietnam War, where the Phantom did most of its combat with the US military. So yeah, with North Vietnamese MiG-17. So I will set this aside for just a moment. There were a total of 107 air-to-air kills by the Phantom in Vietnam, and 33 losses to Vietnamese fighter jets. So I'll take the top off the box, and we will have a good long look at this kit. Now, I'll chuck that down there. We'll have a look at the instructions first off. Actually, this hasn't been, as you can see, it wasn't quite cut properly, but that doesn't really matter. There's that fantastic picture again, and nice big pictures to explain and show where the pieces go together. There's a fair bit of pieces to this model kit, but not a hell of a lot, actually. But let's have a look at the color schemes. And this is the US and United States Air Force. Now, the E model of the Phantom, as you can see here, the nose was actually longer and pointed. It's first entered service with the US Navy, and because it was so adaptable and so good at pretty much anything that they task that they put it to. It was adopted by the US Marines, and then lastly by the US Air Force, who are actually its biggest operators in America. And the E model was the first one to have a gun installed just under there, under the nose. When it went into when this thing was designed, they thought that dogfighting was all but extinct, and that jets would exchange missiles from extreme ranges, so they never bothered to put a gun in the first few versions of the Phantom. But once it cut its teeth in Vietnam, and it was up against smaller and more agile fighter jets like the MiG-17 and the MiG-19, the need for an internal gun became quite apparent, and it was introduced into the E model. The Southeast Asian camouflage scheme there, and the lighter undersides, South Korean Air Force. And look, more recent, that's a European camouflage, and then the Japanese color scheme. This one also has a decal for the Royal Australian Air Force as well, but I'll show you that just a little bit later. Now, look at this thing. huge. This is the rear part of the aircraft. As you can see, these are the parts of the fuselage where the engines were in the Phantom, and the vertical stabilizer there. Huge engines on the Phantom, maximum speed of Mach 2.2, and its engines were very smoky though as well, that left a very clear smoke trail behind the aircraft, which not too good. It gives away your position to the enemy, but no fighter jets are perfect, don't forget. But yeah, big beefy model. So we'll start that, put that over there, and now I'm going to show you the underside of the Phantom. This is the underside of the fuselage, and this is where the wings start there, and the landing gear would protrude out from there. And this is where some of its primary weapons were actually stationed on the fuselage. Two there, one on either side, and then another two there. The AIM-7 Sparrow medium range missile. In Vietnam, the early versions of the Sparrow weren't too reliable, and some of them just their engines didn't even kick in after they were launched from the aircraft. They just dropped away, and some of them just failed to lock onto the target. If the missiles were reliable, the Phantom's kill ratio probably would have been much, much higher. But it also had 4 stations under here. 1, 2, 3, 4 for missiles. It had 1 down the center line, and it had 2 under each wing, for a total of 9 weapons hard points. 8,300 kilos of weapons it could carry, which is not just air-to-air missiles, are bombs and rockets for attacking ground targets, which it did quite a lot of, actually. And then we'll have a look now. The upper parts of the wing, and this is the tail. Tail drooped downwards on the Phantom, as I'm sure you could see on the front of the box. Very, very distinctive shape on the F4, actually. Absolutely unmistakable. Beautiful plane though. It's big because in the outset it was designed to be a heavy fighter. It was quite large, and it wasn't as maneuverable as other fighters of its day, but it really did hold its own in combat. And here we have up the front, this is the forward parts of the fuselage, where you have the nose, and obviously this is where the cockpit would be. And here, just on the inside, some of the instrumentation of where the pilot and co-pilot, the rear seat. Here and here we have some of the instrumentation for the pilot and co-pilot. Two crew on the F4 Phantom. Here's the underside of the front part of the fuselage. This is where the other 2 Sparrow missiles would sit, and the radome right there, covering over the radar. Excellent. Now have another look at more of the control surfaces. Actually, I've got that one upside down. For the upward inflection at the end of the wingtips, which is for stability purposes, I believe. Yes. But like I said earlier, very distinctive shape on the F4 Phantom. Now, one of my favorite parts. The weapons packages. Early versions of the AIM-9 Sidewinder, which was a heat-seeking missile, and once again, the Sparrow, the medium range missile. And obviously a little bit more of instrumentation for inside the cockpit. And then we have, and then more of the control surfaces, and more Sparrow missiles there, and more instrumentation for the inside where the crew would be operating the plane. And look at this here. Now these are the pylons that go under the wings. This is where the weapons would be stationed on. And here we have a centerline additional fuel tank, and there's even an ECM pod. ECM stands for electronic counter measuring, and that's how you jam enemy communications, and it prevents, well, it helps to prevent radar guided missiles from locking onto you and coming to get you. And then let's have a look, see what we've got here. Landing gear, as you can see. And these are here we have the seats for the crew, and more landing gear, and then some of the blades on the engines, and more of the interior, more of the landing gear as well. Just there. Almost gotten through this kit. As you can see, there is a fair bit of parts to it, but not a hell of a lot. It's not a super complicated kit, but because it's so big and it's so cool, it'd be really, really enjoyable to put this together. It'd be really exciting as it's slowly coming together as well, painting it and whatnot. And yes, more additional fuel tanks, a larger centerline fuel tank, and here we have the turkey feathers, just where the exhaust would exit the back of the engines. And here we at the front, these are the front of the air intakes where the engines would aspirate, and some of the blades at the front which go along the side of the air intakes against the fuselage of the plane. And then obviously this is where the two crew members would sit. The seats would go just in there. Put that one over there. And now I'll show you the canopy. I'll hold this up to the camera. As you can see on the canopy, 4 pieces. The one thing about the Phantom is, as I'm sure, and you can see on the front of the box, the canopy wasn't quite as large as it is, I should say, on aircraft like the F-15, the F-16, or the F-18. They have much better fields of view. They were designed for dogfighting from the outset. The Phantom had a lot of instruments, and the crew was concentrating more on them, so it's field of view not quite as good as the others. Now this is something that I've been looking forward to showing you, because we're almost at the end. Now I've got the decals here. I'll get them out. As you can see here, this is for the Japanese Air Force, and then you've got the American Air Force. Obviously the more colorful, the blue, white, red, white and blue here, that's for your the Southeast Asian jungle camouflage. And then the European camouflage that I showed you earlier, this is where the all black insignias would be for. And then you've got the South Korean Air Force, their insignias there, the shark mouth. Love the shark mouth. And there's, like you see, there's a hell of a lot of decal here. There's a lot of little details that you would have to put onto this thing to complete it. But this is the part I've been looking forward in particular showing you. Now, here we have the camouflage scheme for the Australian Air Force. Now, the Royal Australian Air Force leased the F-4E from the United States for 3 years, from 1970 to 1973, if I remember correctly, while the RAAF was waiting for the F-111 to be completed and delivered. And this was a stopgap measure to fill in, you know, the combat roles that the F-111 would have performed. The RAAF absolutely loved this aircraft, and it was very well liked by not only its pilots, but the ground crew as well. And for a while, they actually seriously considered retaining the F-4 Phantom in the RAAF inventory, but decided against it in the end, which is a shame. It would have been fantastic to have such an icon of military aviation, to have lengthy service with the RAAF. Would have been really, really awesome. And now I'm going to show you here the decal for the RAAF. I'll hold this up to the camera. As you can see, there's the kangaroo inside the roundels, and then all of this, look at all of that. That goes all over the plane. There's so much here that's got to go, the decal that you've got to put onto this thing. But then again, it's a 32 scale, so it's enormous, and it's all about small little details. And here all the unit markings, and yeah, everything there. Yeah, very impressive plane, the F-4 Phantom. Now pretty much retired, except for the last few countries that operated. Israel used it extensively for quite a while. They called it the Kernas, which means sledgehammer. Yeah, but as I said, you know, 5,195 of these were produced. One of the most widely used and respected fighter jets in history. Beautiful. This would be a fantastic kit to put together. This would be a lot of fun, and something that would give you enormous satisfaction to finish. If you're thinking about gifts for somebody who is an experienced modeler, I can't recommend this one enough. They would be wrapped. You would make them very, very happy if you got them this. We've only got the one in stock at the moment, so if you want it, you better be quick, because I am sorely tempted to buy this for myself, actually. But yeah, cool. All right, guys, that wraps things up. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I loved making this one. I could talk about this plane for hours, but you know, I can't. So we've got to keep these short and sweet, so maintain engagement. But yeah, cool. All right, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the store sometime soon. Maybe buying this kit, and as always, rock and roll. Cheers.